What are the primary benefits of electrifying bus fleets? Well, I think top of mind for many people is the environmental benefit that comes from using zero emissions vehicles. So you've got the greenhouse gas emissions reductions that come from displacing diesel from a traditional bus with the battery electric vehicle drivetrain of an electric bus. And particularly if that's powered by renewable electricity, you get an amazing emissions benefit. But there are a number of co-benefits that people don't always think of immediately, and that's one around air quality and the health impacts of improved air quality from reduced particulate emissions. You've got really improved ride comfort and reduced noise for passengers, so it makes much more enjoyable for a passenger, much more enjoyable for the driver. And in terms of maintenance, the drivetrain of a battery electric bus has fewer moving parts and is so much simpler to maintain than a diesel electric bus. So for the first time, bus operators and infrastructure developers will have to address challenges they haven't come across before. One of those is optimizing the charging of the buses to reduce energy costs, to reduce emissions, to make sure that charging isn't undertaken at peak demand times on the grid, to manage the balance of charge within the fleet as the bus fleet goes around on its routes, to ensure that there's enough energy in the buses to be able to complete all the routing that's required, to complement the charging strategy with the bus fleet selection strategy, so what buses you choose to purchase and deploy within your network. It's also important to understand that the charging requirements mean that we need to reconfigure the space that would normally be deployed within a depot. So we're going to need to find space to deploy bus chargers and then to rotate the bus fleet through those bus chargers over the course of a 24-hour period. And that can be particularly problematic in urban areas where you're really space constrained within those depots. The other thing that's really worth considering is how it's possible to adapt in real time to changing electricity market conditions and use that information to tailor a charging strategy that can reduce costs, it can reduce emissions, and it can reduce the demands on all the infrastructure that's required to support an electric bus fleet. The major consideration to address in terms of grid integration and charging management is to consider the impacts of the charging approach on the costs and on the grid infrastructure. At this scale of energy consumption, there is a really strong sensitivity between the time of day that you're charging and the cost of that electricity. So on the one hand, it means that you really want to steer away from charging at peak times, which at the moment is typically in the early evening. But it also means there's a real opportunity to unlock if you can time your charging so that it occurs at low cost times of day. And at the moment, that low cost time of day tends to be in the middle of the day when there's really an excess of solar energy available in the national electricity market. The other consideration is ensuring that you're able to charge the entire bus fleet as required over a 24-hour cycle while remaining within the constraints of the grid connection between the depot and the electricity grid. It's important to weigh up all the different considerations that go into the total cost for operating and maintaining a bus fleet, because there's some real value to be unlocked if you think about a charging strategy and the impacts that might have on the costs of the electricity infrastructure. So it also creates amazing opportunities to collaborate with non-traditional partners such as electricity retailers, distribution networks, technology providers to provide smart, sustainable solutions around battery charging.